Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brook Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 8, Episode 5. And before we get into it, I'm going to be so honest with you guys. I recorded this video several times. I had to scrap it because I just don't really know what to say. And I hate to say this, but I think for right now, I'm going to put Potomac on a timeout and that I'm going to focus on other shows. Unless things change, unless things get better, maybe I'll pick it back up. But I think that for the time being, it might be time for me to say goodbye. And it really sucks because I've been a Potomac fan since day one. I was there in the trenches when everybody's wigs were cocked to the side. Karen was in that dated home, the dated fashions. I mean, I was there since the beginning when Katie was on the screen. But things have not been right since season 5. The show has gotten progressively worse. This season right now, I think might be worse than season 5, and that's saying a lot. I don't know what it's going to take for us to see changes, but this cast needs to be swapped out. And that's not even me being biased. I feel like it's just so bad that maybe my faves might need to leave because it's just not fun watching people be humiliated, embarrassed. And now we're arguing about tradition, religion, culture, stuff that really should not be discussed on a national platform. What's going on between Wendy and Nneka is so disgusting to watch. It's disturbing. I still stand by how I feel that Nneka is thirsty, but Wendy, as much as I love you, I'm going to always be honest. I'm going to be true to myself. This episode did not make you look good. It didn't. And I know that you pulled out the receipts on Twitter. We'll talk more about that later on. But I didn't think that the receipts really gave what you thought it was supposed to have gave, in the words of Rolling Ray. And that's no shade, sis. But I just feel like this whole thing about whether you guys know each other or don't know each other is just so dumb. You guys clearly knew of each other. Period, point blank, end of story. And the fact that we're arguing about this is just so trivial and it's so stupid. And let me also address one more thing. If you're going to join this show, you need to have a thick skin. Nneka, this whole business of you buying bots to harass content creators like myself and others, and then they're harassing Wendy, they're posting up her house and her address. There's a bot saying that Wendy should go and unalive herself, talking about her children. That's some really nasty work. I don't know what's going on, sis, but you need to stop it. And it's very obvious that you're the one out here buying bots because all the bots are in defense of you. Again, it's one thing to be upset that the viewers are upset with you, but you have to take that. There's always a chance that that might happen when you join reality TV. And even if I don't like a housewife, it's never that serious, it's never that deep where I want to harass somebody online. Absolutely not. I say what I have to say, I turn the camera off, and I go about my life. I don't think about any of y'all once this camera gets turned off and once this video gets uploaded onto YouTube. And again, Nneka, if you want to be on this show, I'm going to need you to develop a thicker skin than that. Because this whole buying bots, it's loser behavior and it's embarrassing. And Wendy, another thing. Girl, the way you had my hopes up about how you're going to talk about what happened in this last episode on your channel, and when I watched your whole video, and then at the end you said, okay, now it's time for the Potomac tea, but not yet. We'll talk about that in another video because we're still early into this season. I said, Miss Mamas, don't play with us. We are 5 episodes in. This season has gotten progressively worse. Don't play with me like this. And like I told you, Wendy, I think this might be my last Potomac recap, so I need the tea right now. I don't need to wait until it's episode 10 or 11. But without further ado, let's just jump right on into it because you guys already know that we don't have a minute to spare. So we open up the episode with Ashley, Giselle, and Mia going shopping for their upcoming Austin trip. Now, I just said, Three of the worst dressed housewives going shopping together. That's a joke in itself, but okay. So anyhow, they're shopping for the trip. Ashley says that she can't wait because she loves Austin, Texas. She was just there a few months ago because she was invited to host a drag show, and she can't wait for all the ladies to join her. Now, another thing. Didn't Ashley host the last season's trip to Mexico? So why is she hosting this new trip to Austin, Texas? Can't we get somebody else to host? But you know what? Let me not say that. Why am I forgetting? This entire cast doesn't talk to each other, so it wouldn't make sense for Wendy or Candace to host a trip because they don't speak to Giselle and Robyn or Mia. So I guess it makes sense as to why Ashley has to be the one to invite everybody on a trip because she's the only one speaking to everybody on this cast along with Karen. So I guess for the next trip, they'll have Karen be the host of it. You see how I answered my own question? And that's another reason why they need to recast this show, because we cannot continue on with a cast that hates each other. So while they're browsing around the store, Giselle's like, can we please talk about the other day at Karen's pickleball event? We have a lot to talk about because that was a hot mess. So Giselle starts asking Ashley and Mia what they think. She's like, so do you think that Nneka's lying? Because that's a huge accusation to make about somebody's mom performing witchcraft. And I just don't think that she would join this group to lie like this. And I said, girl, we're not going to tell that lie today. The way that people are desperate to get on a Real Housewives franchise, because we've seen it time and time again, where a thirsty fan will get on one of these shows and have a whole fake storyline because they wanted that Bravo check. People come on these shows and say that they're rich, knowing that their house is in foreclosure, their American Express is all the way backed up, okay? The car is repossessed. We've seen folks fake it many times. So again, not too much on, well, surely she wouldn't come to this group to lie, because people do it all the time. Ashley showing us once again that she will always be a snake and that she has nobody's back. When she was like, yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I believe Nneka. I just don't believe that she would lie about that. The conviction that she had, the receipts that she had, I believe her. Even though Wendy's my friend, I do believe Nneka. I said, girl, you are just so phony. And Wendy, here's where I get so irritated with you and Candace too, because y'all both sit up there and allow Ashley to play in your faces time and time again, and then you want to cry when she turns on you. Ashley is nobody's friend. And that's why it was so painful in episode, what was it, 2 or 3, when Wendy was at Ashley's housewarming and she's like, oh, Ashley, you know I just love you so much and I value our friendship. It's like, girl, what are you talking about? Nneka and Wendy shouldn't even be getting on each other. They need to be getting on Ashley because she started this whole mess in the first place. That's why it's painful watching Nneka and Wendy go at it because, again, Ashley's at fault. Y'all need to band together and tell Ashley off. So Ashley's like, I'm just shocked about this whole thing because nobody brought this up at my housewarming. And then, of course, Giselle's co-signing. And she's like, yeah, because Wendy came to your house and didn't say anything about this. So now Ashley says that Wendy probably didn't want to volunteer this information. And here goes Giselle saying, well, I would have. I said, oh, really? Because for the past 8 seasons, we've yet to see you have a real storyline. You've skated by too. You don't give us anything. You don't tell any of your real business, but you want me to believe that if you were in Wendy's shoes, you would have volunteered that information? Yeah, right. So here goes Giselle with more BS. She's like, I called up Jamal immediately after pickleball, and I told him that they were talking about shrines and witchcraft and demonic spirits, and he was like, oh no, Giselle, get away from that immediately. That is nothing to play with. That stuff is very real. And I just said, girl, you want to talk about demonic spirits? I just said the jokes truly write themselves. It's just so funny to me. I don't get it. Is there a lack of self-awareness? Does Giselle truly believe that we don't see her for what she does? Like, I'm just confused as to how somebody with such a dark and evil spirit could say anything about, oh, I don't want to be anywhere around any of this stuff. It's just like, you've got to be kidding me. So Mia says that she likes Nneka because she's smart And Giselle says, yeah, I like her too. She's very smart. She's a lawyer, and she wouldn't make up stupid stuff because of that. And it's so funny to me because the way you guys try to downplay Wendy's accomplishments and her education, so that's okay. But now you want to hype up Nneka about, oh yeah, she's just so smart. She's a lawyer. Well, Wendy's a doctor with a PhD. She's also smart. So that comment to me, Mia, didn't make much sense. Mia, just say that you don't like Wendy. Why is that so hard? Just come clean. Just own it. But all this, well, I like Nneka because she's smart. It's like, okay, girl, but you sound dumb because Wendy's smart too and you don't like her. So now you have Giselle joking around about the whole Facebook dilemma between Eddie and Ike. And she was like, did you see Ike? He wasn't playing no games. He was like, Eddie, say it like a man. Say it with your chest. And I just said, you guys are really thinking that Ike ate that when the whole time everybody looks silly arguing about a Facebook unfriending. Who gives a damn if somebody unfollowed you? So now Giselle goes on to add that she hates when people act like they don't know what their mom is doing. She's like, Wendy knew what her mom was doing, and that's not an excuse. And her sister, and her mama are all working together for evil. And I just said, again, if we want to talk about evil, we can play the tapes back. Giselle, you discussing anybody being evil is a joke. Sitting up there lying on people's marriages, lying on people's husbands. How dare you make any sort of comment about somebody working together for evil? Now, mind you, we see a parallel scene with Wendy and Eddie. They're out on a lunch date, and of course, they start talking about what went down at pickleball. They're both like, we had a time last night, and not in a good way. So Eddie's like, I don't know what that was all about between me and Ike, but I don't have problems with anybody. I don't have drama with anybody, so I don't even know why me and him are going at it about Facebook. Eddie goes on to say that was his first time meeting Ike, and how, yes, they found out that they went to the same college, but they were at college at different times. Now we see Wendy in her confessional, and the producers asking her if Eddie and Ike were ever Facebook friends, and if they know each other. Wendy is quiet, doesn't say anything. And I said, now Wendy, girl, again, I'm really not loving the way you deflect and you don't answer because that does make you look bad. Just come clean. Were they Facebook friends or not? It's not that big of a deal. Nobody cares. Just answer the question. You saying, hey, it's a college campus. Do you know everybody that you went to college with? It's like, girl, that wasn't the question that was asked. The question was, were Eddie and Ike Facebook friends? Girl, it's a yes or no. And if I get on everybody else, I have to be fair, and I have to get on you too when I feel like you're slipping up. Right? That's only fair. You guys get on me when you feel like I've missed the mark in some shape, way, or form. If I miss one little detail, you guys are upset. I could give you guys an hour review and I miss one little thing. It's like, oh, Brooke, you didn't get that. And it's like, well, damn, I spent all this time editing and all this, and you want to get on me about that? But hey, it is what it is. And if I'm being honest, I'm irritated with all four of them. Wendy, Nneka, Ike, and Eddie with this whole thing of, well, we've met each other in passing, we've seen each other out a few times, we said hello, we saw them at this black tie function, I saw them at a concert, saw them at a birthday party, saw them on the bus, saw them on the train, and then all of a sudden it's, I don't know them, I never saw them a day in my life, when clearly they do know of each other. And yes, I'm very well aware that knowing of somebody is not the same thing as knowing them. I know. But I'm irritated with the fact that we are pretty much playing semantics with this whole, do you know each other or do you not? When it's very clear that you guys have met before in passing quite a few times. Now we jump to this next scene with Nneka. Nneka and her husband Ike are at the doctor's office because they want to go over her fertility. We all know that Nneka's storyline this season is that she's hoping to conceive within the year. She says that she feels pressure from her family to conceive, and now she wants to make sure that everything is on the up and up. Now, I don't like hearing that she feels pressured. That's an important decision. If Nneka's not ready to have a child, then that's her right. I don't think that it's fair that her family is putting pressure on her when she still wants to enjoy the time with her husband. But Nneka says that she feels terrible about what happened yesterday at pickleball and how she wanted to talk to Wendy about this in a calmer manner, but Nneka justifies her actions by saying that the reason why she just got so upset, because when it comes to shrines, that means that somebody's wishing death and destruction on you, and she couldn't play with that. So that's why she felt the need to try and embarrass Wendy instead of talking to her privately. And again, Nneka, I call BS on that, because you could have handled this one-on-one. Instead of calling up Robyn for dinner, you should have called up Wendy, and you guys could have had a dinner and talked about this privately and squash the matter. But you didn't want to squash the matter. You wanted to have this as a storyline. You wanted your big gotcha moment, and you got it, because that pickleball episode was a hot mess. But Nneka goes on to say that she's a very honest and transparent person, and she doesn't understand why Wendy continues to be so fake. Nneka, let me just say this. While you are telling the truth about the phone calls, now, do I believe this whole witchcraft stuff that was said to you? I don't believe it, but it's clear that words were obviously exchanged, right? I do believe that you're being truthful about that, but I feel like you're putting extra sauce on this story to really go out of your way and embarrass Wendy. Also, Nneka, my point still remains that if you really wanted to clear this up, you would have talked to Wendy privately about this. And also, Nneka, you're not that honest, because you slipped up regarding your age. Because in this scene at the doctor's office, you said that you're 35. Then we hear you in the final scene say that in all your 40 years of life, you've never heard such a thing. So again, sis, you're really not that honest if we caught you in 42 minutes of airtime slipping up and lying about your age. But anyhow, the doctor comes in and he says that Nneka has low volume. Then he says that bottom line, they need to have more sex. So now you have Ike joking around. He says that his guys are good and that he's ready anytime. Now, Nneka, I also want to get you on one other thing, because in last week's episode, you were saying that Wendy low-key controls Eddie and how Eddie looks unhappy and it should be Get Out featuring Eddie. Well, you don't speak to your husband with respect. The way you were yelling at him and saying, stop it, be quiet, shut up. The way you talked to him was disgusting. So I said, you want to talk about Wendy and Eddie's marriage and how they interact, but let's talk about what you and Ike have going on. He was just joking around, having fun. There was no reason for you to snap out and lash out like that. But just an observation that I noticed. Again, I know that the Nneka bots are going to come out and want to tussle in the comments, and that's okay. I am prepared for it. But you might want to check your girl about how she talks to her husband. This next scene with Mia and Gordon going to therapy, I have never been so confused in all my life. Mia made absolutely no sense whatsoever. It seemed like she was saying anything. This scene felt like a waste of airtime. So Mia starts off the therapy session by saying that their relationship has changed with all that's gone on, and understandably so. You guys don't have money anymore. So now Mia shares that despite Gordon being voted out of the family business, he's been working hard trying to expand their portfolio, and Mia's upset because she feels like he's working too much. Now, can somebody help me out? Because is the man working or not? Mia, just 3 episodes ago, you said that Gordon was on the couch for 2 months, depressed. So now all of a sudden he's working too much to expand the portfolio. What portfolio can he expand if he was voted out of the family business? Again, sis, it's not making sense. And we all know that Mia is a known liar and her story always changes. And the way you guys are struggling financially, you need to be happy that Gordon is trying to get out there and make some money. So Mia says that with all the tension between her and Gordon, she hired a divorce attorney because she wanted a divorce. I said, of course she did. She got sick and tired of looking at Mr. Brown with no money. And you know what's so funny to me? The fact that Mia is Gordon's third or fourth wife, and you already know that the ex-wife who Gordon was cheating on with Mia, you know she's happy right now. She's like, yeah, he got his karma. He ditched me for her, and now look at that. She's leaving him, and now he's penniless. And doesn't Gordon have 5 kids from his previous marriages too? So now he's gonna have 8 kids and 3 or 4 ex-wives under his belt. A hot mess. And like I said, Mia was just saying anything in this therapy session. She goes on to say that she just wants Gordon to retire and stop working so hard. And I said, now, Mia, do you hear yourself right now? Gordon is unemployed. He doesn't have a job. So if we're being honest, he's already retired. What are you talking about? Mia, and I'm saying this with all sincerity, are you okay? So now Mia shares another concern that she has, and she says that she and Gordon had a sale recently, and they hired an attorney to manage the sale. She goes on to add that the company sold, and the lawyer said that he would give them their money once all the paperwork was signed. But until then, he would keep the money in escrow. So she says that some time went by, the lawyer stopped returning their calls, and they found out that the lawyer pretty much took their money and ran with it. So Mia continues on by saying that they filed a lawsuit against this lawyer. This lawyer ended up getting disbarred, and then because of that, he took his life. So Mia starts crying and says, how do we explain this to our kids? And I just said, again, I am so lost right now. How do we go from you guys had to downsize to you want a divorce to Gordon works too much and she wants him to retire even though he's unemployed to now telling this story about some lawyer who took some money from you guys? It was a lot going on. A few of you guys had me screaming on Twitter. One of y'all said, now Mia, we already heard this storyline before with Robyn and Juan. You pretty much stole a page out of their playbook with this whole entire sob story about this lawyer stealing money from you. Because I said the same thing. I was like, yeah, we've heard this before. This was Robyn and Juan's story, season 1. So now we cut to everybody packing up for the Austin trip. And it seems like nobody's really excited. But I mean, who would be? You're going on a trip with folks that you hate. So what fun is really going to be had when you already know it's going to be more arguing just in a different city? So now we get to the day of the trip and we see everybody arrive at the airport. Of course, things are awkward between Wendy and Nneka. They give a very dry hello. It's to be expected. They just had this blowout at pickleball a few days ago, so nobody was expecting them to greet each other warmly. But again, I think it's just a mess that the 2 Nigerian women on this show are beefing. So now they touch down in Austin, and we see that Ashley has split everybody up in different cars by their astrological signs. So it's Wendy, Candace, Robyn, and Mia in one car together. And then it's Giselle, Ashley, Karen, and Nneka in the other car. And Robyn was pissed about it. She was like, really, Ashley? You're going to pair me in this car with somebody that I don't speak to? And another reason why this show needs to be revamped. Because you have a cast where we can't even have people in the same car together because the hate is that deep. Now, in the car with Karen, Giselle, Ashley, and Nneka, Karen is talking about how since she's turning 60, she no longer sweats the small stuff. Giselle calls Karen out about that. She's like, girl, really? The way you get on Robyn all the time? So now Karen makes this really stupid analogy about a pie being her and Robyn's friendship, how she cut half of the pie and put the other half in the freezer. And Karen, I like you and all, but I'm gonna need you to stop with these stupid analogies because they make no sense. What you were saying was so dumb. It wasn't funny, it wasn't witty, it was a complete flop. And I feel like with Karen is too concerned with being the fan favorite and being the grande dame, where she's always trying to read somebody and she's always trying to have this iconic one-liner, and they don't always land. Just let things flow organically. Stop trying so hard to have this iconic one-liner. Stop. So the ladies arrive to the hotel and they go right to the penthouse suite. Now, mind you, Ashley's in the penthouse and she informs all the ladies that she's giving Robyn the other penthouse suite because Robyn's been through a lot. Now, it was really funny because Karen and Giselle both asked if they were also getting a penthouse. And Ashley was like, I mean, your room is nice. And they were like, oh, okay. Now, I'm not going to hold you guys. The spread that they had in Ashley's penthouse looked really good and my mouth was watering. But while they're eating, you have Karen bringing up the pie analogy again about her and Robyn. Robyn's confused. She's like, girl, I thought that me and you were good. I thought that we squared everything away at pickleball. And you have Karen still going on and on about how she put a half of the pie in the freezer and then she cut a half of a half. Everybody was confused. And I just said, once again, Karen, stop trying so hard to be funny because it falls flat. Let things flow because, again, that whole pie analogy made no sense. And I was rolling my eyes. I even wrote in my notes, what the F is Karen talking about? Is it just me or does it feel like Karen goes out of her way sometimes to force this beef that she has with Robyn? Because there are times where I'm like, Robyn really was minding her business and Karen has to bring it up in some shape, way, or form that she's not here for Robyn. And it almost feels like Karen is grasping at straws to have some camera time in a moment. But we see everybody go to their rooms and the way the ladies were not impressed. Their rooms all had a view of the construction going up next door. They were like, well, damn. And let me just say this quickly. No shade to Austin, Texas. I've heard that Austin is fun. It's up and coming. But I am surprised that they picked Austin over Houston or Dallas. And was it just me or did it seem like Candace got the smallest room? But I'm not surprised though because we know that Ashley can't stand Candace, so of course she would get the worst room. Y'all know how I am. I love a 5-star hotel. So I am petty. I would have called up American Express's concierge and I would have had them book me at the nearest Ritz-Carlton or Four Seasons. So now we see Candace, Karen, and Wendy head to the pool. And Karen's like, Ashley did a nice job. I like the hotel. And you have Candace shading. She's like, yeah, it's cute, but I wish I had a better view because all I see is a construction going up. So Candace starts asking Wendy how she's doing, especially being around Nneka. And she's like, you actually seem fine. So Wendy says, look, I don't know Nneka from a can of paint. I have no vested interest in this relationship. And I don't feel like I need to say anything else regarding this whole situation. Now Giselle and Nneka join them. And of course it's tense because Giselle doesn't speak to Wendy or Candace. They don't speak to her. Wendy and Nneka are on the out. So it's a very awkward meetup. And like I've been saying for the longest, we cannot continue to watch a group where they don't speak. That's not fair to the viewers because part of what makes these shows work is their ability to work through their issues and to have enough decency and respect for each other to still want to film and be around one another. It can't get to this point where they have so much hate and vitriol that they can't even talk to each other and have a scene. We can't have that. They need to either work it out, and if they can't work it out, then it's time for everybody to go. And I mean everybody. Give us 6 brand new women and a new friend to the show. I know a lot of my subscribers live in the DMV. I checked my analytics, and the DMV is high up on the list of my subscribers who watch me. So for my subscribers who live in the DMV area, please, if you know any wealthy women who want to be on TV, ask them to audition for Potomac because we need some fresh faces. So here goes Karen trying to play peacemaker. She addresses the tension and she says that if the group wants to move forward, then they have to start talking to each other. So she points out how Candace and Giselle don't speak and how Giselle seems quiet every time she's around Candace. So Giselle says that she's actually fine. And now Candace interjects and she says she thinks that by not speaking to me, that I'll disappear from this group. Pretty much saying that Giselle thinks that by icing Candace out, that's going to get her off of this show. Candace, I'm happy that you're calling it out because that's exactly what Giselle is trying to do. But if I were you, I would be a bit nervous because if Giselle's plan is successful and if Bravo plans on keeping her for season 9, there is a chance that you could be off of this show, you and Wendy. Because again, if the majority of the cast refuses to film with you, then you're going to be up Schitt's Creek and they will let you go. So Giselle says, I never said that. Then she goes on to add that she's not speaking to Candace for her own mental space and for the protection of her daughters and her family. And that's why she chooses not to participate in speaking to Candace. Now, Giselle, you said some very damning allegations against Chris Bassett. Chris revealed that he lost jobs, he lost money, he had his own family questioning him, he had strangers questioning him and his character. I'm sure his family was affected. Candace was affected. Candace said that their marriage was affected. So I'm confused as to how you can say that you're protecting your family by not speaking to Candace. That doesn't make any sense. You're the one who started this whole entire thing. And when Candace went on to say that not only was her marriage affected, but the mental state of her bonus kids and herself and everybody in their household, they were all in disarray because of Giselle's lies. And we know that Chris's kids are teenagers or preteens, so Lord knows how they felt at school, seeing that somebody's accusing their father of being a deviant. Like, it's just evil. Giselle, I just don't understand why you can't see things from another point of view, that what you did was damaging. It's okay to feel how you feel. If you felt uncomfortable, okay, that's one thing. But to say that he tried something and to suggest that he was trying to make a move on you or he was trying to do something, like, girl, you just sound crazy. And yet again, Giselle is changing the story and she's lying when she said, look, Candace, your husband forced me into a bedroom and then closed the door. And that's that. I just said, girl, what? First of all, it went from a dressing room to now a bedroom, and now he forced you into the bedroom? Girl, what are you saying? Giselle has contradicted herself several times in regards to this story. This story has so many holes in it. And again, for Giselle fans, can you please tell me down in the comments, do you not see how problematic she is? Because what she did to Chris, whether you like Candace or not, what she did, that was really messed up. So Karen interjects and she says, look, the tension is thick. I don't like it. It's bothering me. And now Giselle cuts her off and she says, Karen, you and I are in a great place. That's all that matters. Let's focus on that. Now, mind you, everybody's at the pool at this point, except for Robyn and Mia. We see that they're outside chatting and walking together, and Mia's telling Robyn about her sob story regarding the lawyer who stole their money, and now he unalived himself. And Mia says that she feels guilty because the lawyer had a daughter and a wife, and she feels like had they not filed the suit against him, he would still be alive. So now we see Robyn getting emotional. She's like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry to hear that, Mia. You know that happened with me and Juan years ago. Our friend stole our money, and this man was in our wedding. And now we see Robyn going on to add that this lawyer probably did it to a lot of other people, not just them, and that the truth was bound to come out eventually. I don't have anything to say about this scene between Robyn and Mia. I'm glad that Robyn was able to console Mia. I think that if you're going to tell anybody a story about somebody stealing money from you, it should be talking to Robyn, because Robyn knows firsthand what that's like. So now we flip right on back to everybody else at the pool, and once more Karen feels the need to try and play peacemaker again, and it's clear that she's trying to broker some peace between Gizelle and Wendy. So she's like, Gizelle, I have to bring this up again because it seems like you were really quiet at pickleball the other day. And Gizelle says, yeah, because I don't play about witchcraft. And then she goes on to add that this whole thing is disturbing. And I said, yeah, it's very disturbing. It's disturbing to see two Nigerian women going at it for no reason when Ashley is behind all this mess in the first place. That's what's truly disturbing about this, because one, this should not be a storyline in the first place. So Candace jumps in and she says, it's one thing if you think that it's disturbing and you believe this allegation, but I do think that it's only fair to hear it from Wendy. So now Nneka jumps in and she's like, well, it's because she said it, and Wendy's mom prays against people, and never in my 40 years of life has anybody ever said anything about shrine to me or my family. Now, I said, Nneka, I called you out about it earlier on in this recap, but I think it's so funny that you went from I'm 35 to now my 40 years on this planet. I said, girl, which one is it? Are you 35 or are you 40? So Wendy defends herself and she says that you're saying things that you weren't even on the phone to hear. And now Gizelle questions Wendy and she's like, but didn't your mom say similar things about Mia? And I said, let's hold on for a minute, right? Because Gizelle's made it clear since last season that she would never speak to Wendy again. Remember that? She said that she would never talk to Wendy, wouldn't look at Wendy, want something to do with Wendy. But now, when it comes time to humiliate Wendy, now you can open your mouth and speak to her and look her in her eyes. At Ashley's housewarming and at pickleball, you wouldn't even look at her and say hello to her. But now you can open your mouth to speak? Absolutely not. If you claim that you don't like me and that you never want to speak to me again, stand on it. And Wendy, I was waiting for you to say, oh, Gizelle, now you can talk to me? Any other time, you've made it clear that you're ignoring me, you don't like me. But now you can talk to me. Don't talk to me. Sit right there and keep your mouth closed. It doesn't work that way. You're either going to show me respect in every occasion and say hello and be cordial, or keep your mouth shut and keep it moving when you see me. And what really gets me is the fact that if this were the other way around, Gizelle would be the first one saying, Wendy, don't talk to me, we don't talk to each other, leave me alone. So the fact that she thinks that she can talk to Wendy when she feels like it, we're not playing that game. So now Robyn and Mia join them, and of course, they can feel the tension because it is thick. So Mia's like, what's going on? Like, is everybody all right? So of course, here goes Gizelle stirring the pot, and she's like, Mia, remember when Wendy's mom blasted you on social media last year? What did she say? So now Wendy's like, I actually have the post right here, and now she reads what her mom wrote about Mia. And the way I screamed as Wendy went ahead and read her mom's post, I think her mom said, crater face Mia, you're a wannabe CEO, and I send Holy Ghost fire on you and Peter. So Wendy says, see, that's all she wrote, no witchcraft here. And of course, you have everybody else trying to clown Wendy. And Robyn's like, Holy Ghost fire? That sounds like a threat to me. Now you have Ashley talking about, yeah, that doesn't help Wendy's case at all. Now, if I were Wendy, I wouldn't have read what my mom wrote, because knowing their mindsets, they're going to switch it on you any which way you slice it, Wendy. I feel like when you're in a situation like this, you need to come to them with facts and say, you know what, Mia, my mom did blast you, but it wasn't witchcraft. She blasted you after you assaulted me. And any mom would stick up for their child who was assaulted. That's what I would have said. I would have went down that route. I would not have read the post. I would have said, well, if you want to read it, then you can read it, but I'm not reading it, because their minds are already made up that whatever Wendy's mom said was witchcraft. Now, quite a few of y'all disagreed with me on Twitter when I said that I don't think that her reading that post helped her case, but I still stand by what I said and I still stand by my feelings. I really don't think that in this instance that helped Wendy out. I would have flipped it back on Mia. Like, Mia, you're forgetting one crucial thing. You assaulted me. You threw a drink in my face, and then on top of that, you hit me with your purse. You embarrassed me on national TV. So that's why my mom went crazy. And whatever she said, I stand 10 toes down on it. I'm not going to read what she wrote. If you want to read it, you can do that, but I'm not. That's what I would have said. Robyn, the jokes truly write themselves. For you to say that Wendy should never repeat that out loud, I said, girl, you should never repeat Juan's lies out loud. While you're sitting up here trying to embarrass Wendy, telling her what she should and shouldn't say, let's focus on how you have remained with a man who has let you know for 2 decades that he does not want you. And you are still holding on and hanging on to this man by his ankles as he has 1 foot out the door and 1 foot in. Don't you ever talk about somebody embarrassing themselves. That's you. You're a walking read. Your whole life is a read. Your marriage is a read. So again, sis, not too much. So at this point, Wendy and Nneka are going at it. Wendy says that it was never about Nneka. It was about Lebe and her older sister, Ivy. She goes on to state that Ivy and Lebe used to be friends, but they had a falling out, and how they've been on the outs for the past 2 years. So Nneka's like, nice try, but that's not it at all, and you're lying. Nneka says it was not about them falling out and not being friends. She goes on to add that Wendy's sister Ivy called up her in-law Lebe and said that Wendy was upset because she felt like Nneka was going around using her name for clout to try and get in the social group. So Nneka goes on to add that that's incorrect, it's false, and that she never said that her and Wendy were friends, but that they had met in passing. I said, the way I'm about to scream if I hear either one of them say that they knew each other in passing, they're not friends, they are friends. I said, oh my gosh, I am at my wit's end. So now Wendy claps back and she says, Nneka, you knew exactly who I was, and your sole intent was to attack me, your fellow Nigerian sister. So Nneka dismisses Wendy. She's like, girl, goodbye. So now you have Giselle in the background saying, oh my gosh, where did all this hatred come from? Like, shut up, Giselle. As hateful as you are, just be quiet. So Nneka says the hatred comes from Wendy's sister Ivy, who pretty much said that I was a clout chaser and that I'm jealous of Wendy and everything that she is. So now here's where things really get heated. Nneka goes on to add that Wendy told her mom and her sister that she was now on the show and that Wendy's upset about it. So now we see Robyn, Mia, and Ashley co-signing what Nneka says, and they all agree that Wendy wants to be the only Nigerian woman on this show. I thought that was so messed up of Ashley to say, I mean, girl, just own it. You want to be the only one. It is what it is. Then you have Robyn saying that Wendy's very jealous and how she wants to be the only one. And then Mia says, oh, it all makes sense. Is that why she was so mean to me when I first joined the show? Now, you guys all know that last week I gave you guys my theory on what I think happened between Nneka and Wendy's family. There definitely was a phone call made. I believe Nneka on that. Do I believe that Wendy wants to be the only Nigerian woman on this cast? You guys know that I've met Wendy twice. I think that Wendy is a lovely person. I don't want to believe that she's that type who wants to be the only one. I feel like Nneka is just gunning for Wendy, and she might be salty that Wendy did not want to be the one to bring her on the show. So maybe because of that, she feels like Wendy was trying to block her and trying to gatekeep. Now, when Mia made that comment saying, is that why she was so mean to me when I joined the show? I'm not going to hold you. When you go back and watch my season 6 recaps, Wendy was getting on my nerves in the first half of that season. It did feel like Wendy felt a bit threatened, like Mia was going to replace her. Because we're not going to pretend like Wendy's first season on this show, season 5, was not a shaky season for her. Wendy was definitely doing too much, and I did get the impression that Bravo brought Mia on to replace Wendy. But because Wendy stepped it up with the drama between her and Giselle and Robyn season 6, Bravo decided to keep her on. Just my opinion, but overall, I don't want to believe that Wendy is that type who wants to shut the door when she makes it. And I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think? Do you think that Wendy wants to be the only one? I saw some people on Twitter saying that they do feel that way because for Wendy to say, well, I don't want to bring her on because I don't know her, they feel like it's a cop-out because 9 times out of 10, the housewives generally don't know the new person. They just lie and say that that's their friend, even though it's not. So they feel like that's a really weak excuse. Again, I hope that Wendy's not that type. She was lovely when I met her. Very sweet, very supportive. But I want to hear from you guys. Do you believe that Wendy wants to be the only one? So Nneka keeps going on and on about how Wendy's sister Ivy called her cousin-in-law Lebe and they were on the phone for 52 minutes. She says that she has all the phone records, all the receipts. And now you have Giselle joking around. She's like, was this AT&T or Verizon? And Nneka says it was actually T-Mobile. So you have Wendy repeating the story of how Lebe and Ivy are no longer friends. And now Nneka shuts that down and she provides dates. She's like, girl, on April 7th, your mom was out here calling people, threatening people with shrine, so stop. Now at this point, Wendy and Nneka are both throwing out dates in April. You have Nneka saying that happened on April 2nd, this happened on April 4th, the phone call with her mom happened on April 7th. I said, again, let's wrap this on up. Now you have Nneka accusing Wendy of dialing in on a separate line, and Wendy calls Nneka a liar. So as we're winding down with the last few minutes of the episode, Candace goes on to ask Wendy, how old is Lebe? So Wendy's like, I don't know, that's my sister's friend. So now Nneka really snaps and she's like, are you dumb? That's not your friend, really? Why were you announcing her at your daughter's sippancy a few years ago? So child, Bravo played the footage and we clearly see Wendy holding up the mic and she says, when I think of a Nigerian woman who keeps up with tradition but still modern, I think of Lebe. So everybody was shocked and I was also shocked. I was like, Wendy, this is not looking good. And again, sis, I love you, but it's clear that there are some holes in your story. And I'm not going to sit up here and I'm not going to lie. And yes, I saw the receipts that Wendy dropped on Twitter after the episode aired, but I still didn't think that the receipts really ate. I feel like you trying to say, well, that's my sister's friend, not my friend, that's not really accurate. I feel like, yes, your sister was probably her friend first, and you know how it is, right? If you and your siblings are close, and especially close in age, your friends become each other's friends. So it's not uncommon to become friends with your siblings' friends. Yes, they might be closer. Yes, they've known each other longer, but eventually you guys end up becoming friends. And I think that that's what happened with Wendy and Lebe, where yes, Wendy's sister Ivy and Lebe were great friends. And then because she was always seeing Lebe all the time, then Lebe and Wendy developed their own relationship. Again, my opinion. And again, Wendy, it's just not a good look. When that footage dropped, I'm sorry, sis, but you looked bad. Because again, if I'm not that close to somebody, I'm not going to be dedicating a whole speech to this person at my child's sippancy. Again, y'all, you can think that I'm wrong, that's fine, but I'm going to be honest about my opinion. I do think that that unaired footage made Wendy look a bit funny in the light. Do I think that Nneka's coming on too strong and doing too much and adding extra sauce to the stories? Yes. But I also feel like Wendy and Nneka are both not being 100% honest. Again, it's gotten to a point where this story is so confusing. We have people who aren't even on this cast being grouped into all this. It's too much. And yes, I did watch Carlos King's video on his theory about what happened between Wendy and Nneka. And I know that he did make another video when the episode aired about how he was vindicated, he was right. But ultimately, the person who we need to be angry at is Ashley Darby. Ashley Darby has started all of this commotion and all this confusion. This is absolute stupidity that we're arguing about who knows who doesn't know who, witchcraft, voodoo, Osu. This is not right. I don't want to hear anything more about this. And I'm angry because it looks like Wendy now is caught up. And now I see people saying, well, now I'm on Nneka's side. All in all, this is a hot, raggedy mess. But we close out the episode with Candace saying that it's weird to say that you don't know somebody, but then have them celebrate the birth of your child. Like, it's just strange. And that's where the episode ends. But guys, I am disappointed all the way around. I'm disappointed in production. I'm disappointed in this cast. I'm disappointed in how Wendy, it just seems like Wendy's story isn't straight. Like, I'm just all around irritated, y'all. I am. And like I said in the beginning, I think that I'm going to take a little break. Let me know if the episodes get better. I hope that we can veer into another direction. I hope that this is not the storyline for the entire season. And I think what really gets me upset is the fact that I actually had pretty high hopes for this season. I thought that the trailer was cute. I said, okay, we might actually get a good season. It might actually be a cohesive season where they can all put their differences aside and make up and be cool. And it's been anything but that. This season so far has been an absolute disgrace. And I think I'll be seeing you guys for Married to Medicine, because Married to Medicine is actually giving what the other girls were supposed to have gave, in the words of Rolling Ray and everybody else. I'm hearing that it is a fantastic season. I've watched a few episodes. I was thoroughly entertained. So I think it's time to switch it up. All right, because I want to be happy when I do these reviews. I'm tired of feeling upset. I'm tired of feeling drained. And I have so much joy and peace reviewing the other shows. So I think that it might be time to just put Potomac on a brief timeout, and I'll come back to them when they get their acts together. But until now, I think that this is it for Potomac. Again, I'm a bit emotional about it because I've been with Potomac since season 1. And to see that this is what it's turned into, it's very upsetting. But y'all, thank you so much for watching my recap. I hope you guys enjoyed, and you already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all later. Bye.
Oh! Shout out to everybody. I had fun.
I gotta be good.
Nah, I forgot.
They told me to be good
I'm out this bitch.
They told me to be good.